Wednesday, November 19th, the barrier. I have turned back my journal a few months and placed the next two entries in chronological order after Bagrada, where they seem most appropriate. I did not witness the events I'm about to relate, but instead repeat here the stories of those who survived them. It wasn't until after the disaster at Forest Heart that the rest of us even heard about any of this. It all started when the Nine learned that Auric had been captured by the Deceiver and his army decimated. I'm not certain how they figured this out, but I'll bet the Head told them, and this was back when the Head could do no wrong. At the behest of the Nine, our officers chose 5 champions from among the Legion. They were carried over the mountains by balloon and dropped at night in the rough desert 20 miles from the Deceiver's camp. Their instructions were to rescue Auric by any means available, and to return him to the west. I believe that the Nine were suspicious of the circumstances surrounding Auric's capture, and wished to discover why the Head had sent him over the mountains. Wednesday, November 19th, the barrier. Finding Auric, the companions later told me, was the easy part, and breaking the enchantments which bound him the matter of but a few moments' consideration. It wasn't until they turned to escape, leading the barely conscious and unresponsive Auric, that the rescue became a thing of legend. The companions say that Auric became more and more lucid toward the end, and revealed things that day in the desert which only made sense in the light of later events. He continually returned to the belief that he had been betrayed. Auric babbled about a suit of armor so powerful that its wearer was invulnerable to attack and tireless in battle. He claimed that it was buried somewhere in the eastern desert, and that he had been sent by the Head to retrieve it. They say Auric talked about the Head often, ridiculing the Nine's belief that it was one of the Avatara of Connaught. Connaught was the great hero of the Wind Age, who drove the evil Moagim from the earth, and the Head claims to have been one of Connaught's closest advisors during this time. Once Auric even spoke of the Head's defeat by Balor, where it lost its body. But I've begun to wonder how one of the Avatara of the Wind Age outlived Connaught himself by hundreds of years to fight Balor in a battle long before the West had even heard of the Fallen Lords. I have been unable to reconcile this. Sunday, November 30th, outskirts of Silver Mines. The old stories all tell that when Balor freed the Watcher from his prison under the Cloud Spine, one arm was left trapped in his prison of solid rock. Bound by a powerful confinement dream, it should have remained there forever, but it didn't. We're 100 miles from Bagrada, and 2 days ahead of the rest of the Legion today, outside a town called Silver Mines, looking for the Watcher's arm. You have no idea how small it makes you feel to be poking around the ruins of an abandoned town looking for the shriveled arm of the second or third most powerful sorcerer in living memory. I don't understand how the arm got to Silver Mines, or how the Nine knew where to look for it, but I can tell they want it bad. They hope to use the Watcher's arm against him if we find it, rather like knowing his true name, only better. Again, I don't pretend to understand. Problem is, the Deceiver is thinking the same thing. Some of the Fallen are over a millennia old, and their rivalries go back just as far. We know the Deceiver is looking for the arm too, and has been digging up silver mines since last summer. We're going in this evening to grab it. Sunday, November 30th, foothills of the Cloud Spine. The enormous volcano overlooking 7 Gates is erupting for the first time in 10 centuries. The tremors started late yesterday, and since midnight there has been a constant rain of hot ash and fire. Even here, 30 miles away, it already feels like summer. As if the mountain's fury were an ill omen, Rabican was encircled and crushed by the Watcher, who attacked by surprise from the west. The survivors of the battle who have reached us speak of ribbons of fire tearing flesh from bone, and thick clouds of poison which rotted whole formations of men to pieces in moments. Our wizards were powerless to stop the carnage. They also say that the pass of 7 Gates has become a raging river, fed by snow melting as the volcano heats the earth around it. The defenders who remained in the pass are surely drowned. and in a few days, when the water is gone, the pass will be open again and undefended. But none of this concerns us. What remains of the silver mines garrison is less than 10 minutes behind us now, determined to claim the arm. We are all too exhausted to continue running, and our scouts have chosen a hill up ahead where we can make a stand. I've heard there are a number of our own men among those pursuing us, turned to the dark by the deceiver. None of us look forward to meeting them in battle. Sunday, December 7th, 7 Gates. The Watcher drove his army without rest through the fleeing remnants of Rabican's forces and into 7 Gates. We are there now, inside the pass, where he then clashed with the deceiver on his way east. The bodies of the undead are everywhere, melted and broken. It seems inconceivable that anything could have survived. I don't know why he attacked the deceiver, unless somehow he found out what was going on in silver mines. One of the veterans said that these two had it out after the battle for Tyr 12 years ago, and that the Watcher barely survived. I have a feeling the real reasons for what happened today go back even farther than that. Whatever the case, while the battle raged only a few miles away and we thought the Watcher was coming for us next, I was glad nobody had asked me to carry his damned arm. It looks like the Volcano will keep 7 Gates open through the winter, so Maildun is sending out patrols to retake the pass. The Legion's growing fame seems to draw danger like a bright candle attracts moths, and if any of the enemy survive the floods and fighting, I'm sure we'll be the ones to find them. So ends the 17th year of the war. Tuesday, May 19th, the edge of Forest Heart. It's spring again, and after 5 months of rest, the Legion is once more on the move. Last week we passed through 7 Gates into the eastern lands over the cloud spine. The Fallen seem to have abandoned the mountains, but for what reason we cannot tell. The Legion is here alone, camped on the edge of Forest Heart, and dangerously far into the territory of the enemy. 2 of the 9 are with us, Kulroy and Mergen, trying to make contact with the forest giants who live in this place to beg their help against the dark. No man has seen one of the giants since the first battle for 7 Gates 13 years ago. They helped contain the fury of Balor himself for 3 years, but on the 4th they did not return, and the pass was lost. One of our scouts just came crashing through the brush, winded, and a crowd of excited men has gathered around him. Someone hurrying out of the group paused beside me long enough to say, "Soul Blighter is here. Put that in your journal." Date unknown, inside the Tain. I do not understand what has happened. Falling back before 2 myrmidons in Forest Heart, I was enveloped by a greenish haze which tore me from the earth. Now I find myself here, in a vast underground cavern with many of my comrades. We have been unable to find any way to the surface. Mergen believes us to be trapped inside the Tain, a relic forged by the smiths of Myrthendi during the Wind Age. Soon after its construction, the Tain was taken from Myrthendi by raiding barbarians from the south, and believed to be lost forever. But they say that the darkest artifacts have the ability to bend men to their will, calling soundlessly to the wicked and discontent from thousands of miles away or hundreds of feet beneath the earth or sea, and that in this way they always come to light again, no matter how buried or forgotten. So it was that Soul Blighter rediscovered the Tain. The artifact was used only once before it disappeared by Connaught against the terrible race of the Mercridia. Until now, Mergen said, no man except its creators knew where its victims were taken. I'll try to feel privileged while I starve to death. I have nothing more to write.